I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. A group of volunteers is worried they may be the last of their kind. The Patriot Guard riders honor fallen veterans, but as Cole Sullivan reports, fewer people are signing up.
The Stars and Stripes can bring strangers together. Here, it does nearly every day.
We can have anywhere between 30 missions a month. We've even been as high as 80.
Jeff Wyke leads the Patriot Guard Riders of North Texas, a volunteer group that honors fallen veterans by attending their funerals.
We don't know their loved one, but yet we are here to show honor and respect for a special person that they love.
They come at the request of the family.
And he was everyone's pops.
Lene Davis asked for their escort of her dad, Larry Morgan, who served in Vietnam.
It's such an honor that they're here for my dad, but they're also here for our country.
They're not the typical funeral crowd.
But what they don't expect to see is a bunch of grizzled bikers in motorcycle clothes who don't know their loved one, standing in respect for their loved one.
I'd like to offer our deepest condolences.
Honoring heroes, though, can get you hooked.
It got into my blood, and the more I did it, the more it got into my blood.
But fewer and fewer people are signing up to join the Patriot Guard Riders.
Unfortunately, the trend has been down.
It's in the name, but you don't have to ride to participate.
For whatever reason they want to join, we ask that you have an unwavering respect for the service members and the families that we are serving.
Showing up makes the difference, and the respect for the flag and those who served it makes strangers into something more.
I felt like they were an extension of our family.
In Dallas, I'm Cole Sullivan.
Final preparations are taking place across North Texas with the World Cup just weeks away. Some local artists are bringing the World Cup nations to life through a new installation in Dallas. The banners stationed throughout the Deep Ellum neighborhood highlight the unique characteristics of each country. They're on display on 180 street poles, pointing out some of the must-see spots around town. The first World Cup match in North Texas is June 14th. As a lot of North Texans feel that sting of high gas prices, one man in uptown Dallas says he hasn't filled up a tank in years. In fact, he sold his car and now rides his bike everywhere. Natalie Haddad shows us why he says the lifestyle is paying off in more ways than one.
While most drivers are watching gas prices climb higher by the week, Tony Page just keeps pedaling from Dallas to Plano and beyond.
Started off with as exercise, but then over time what I found is that it was a really great way to get to know the city better.
Nearly 10 years ago, this uptown Dallas businessman started biking, and eventually he got rid of his car for good.
Frequently I'm challenging my friends and coworkers to, race me to wherever our next stop is, and I'm usually able to beat them.
Trading car payments, gas bills, and oil changes for 2 wheels and a chain. Tony says he's spending just $50 to $100 on bike maintenance a year.
And it's thousands of dollars a year that I save by biking around.
An amount far less than what North Texans are paying as the uncertainty surrounding the U.S.-Israel-Iran war continues. For Tony, the benefits go far beyond saving money. He says riding every day has become his workout, helping him stay active while lowering stress.
I find that biking just tends to put me in a good mood and tends to get the blood flowing, keeps me sharper.
It's just one of the many reasons he encourages others to give biking a try. Because as gas prices continue to go up, Tony just keeps pedaling. In Dallas, I'm Natalie Haddad.
A student athlete is making history at Lincoln High School in Dallas ISD. Senior Joe Gonzalez just earned an international soccer scholarship. And wait until you hear what else he's accomplished as he prepares to move overseas. Here's Cynthia Izaguirre.
Okay, listen up. We're going to start practice. What do? Get busy. Take a warm-up lap.
At Lincoln High School, they like to say they create Lincoln legends.
We pro now.
And senior defender Joe Gonzalez, known as Captain Joe,
In twos, let's stretch.
Yeah, just give us our Johnny.
is living that out every time. he steps on the field.
You should be feeling that calf muscle.
When we have a little cookout or something, we'll probably be playing in the backyard. We used to call it a cascadita.
Soccer has been with Joe since childhood.
My whole family was into soccer, but my brother was like the connoisseur of soccer.
Got one more?
Yes, sir.
The passion is something captured in early family memories.
I fell in love with it.
That love turned serious in middle school, and by freshman year,
Got two brothers. Uh-oh, baby brother gonna get him.
Joe was already playing varsity
Focus on your touch.
against older, stronger competition.
I went into varsity as soon as a freshman, and I got thrown right into the fire.
Coach Stanley Haynes says Joe didn't just adjust, he led.
He had the commitment, he had the responsibility, he was very motivated. I knew this kid was special.
By sophomore year, the nickname Captain Joe stuck, and so did his impact, helping push Lincoln into the playoffs and changing the identity of a program known for other sports.
Wasn't a soccer program, but now it is a program. Joe is actually creating his own legacy.
Now that legacy is going international. Joe has become what Dallas ISD believes is the first student in district history to earn an international soccer scholarship, headed to Preston, England, to attend the University of Central Lancashire.
Their level was what I was looking for.
His brother says the next step is no surprise.
I'm very proud because where he's going, in Europe, the levels are a bit higher.
Aquí, man, follow.
Off the field, Joe is just as accomplished.
My bad, Ivan, you good? Buena. Nice touch, Ivan.
Earning his associate degree through early college.
I'm gonna graduate salutatorian, so I'm second in my class out of 130.
His mother says that success comes from years of determination.
Desde chiquito, siempre lo que él ha querido, siempre lo ha tenido.
You got Johnny with you?
And while Joe is preparing to leave home alone for the first time, his father says faith
No go.
will travel with him.
Donde quiera que vaya, yo sé que siempre como él.
That faith, Joe says, has carried him through every stage of his journey. Now it's carrying him toward a new one overseas.
Yeah, going and flying. I'm not scared, but I'm just very excited to go.
Cut. That's it.
Before he leaves, he's also looking forward to something closer to home.
Can I get that camera?
The World Cup coming to North Texas.
All my life, we were just seeing it on the TV. To be able to have that, almost in my backyard, is definitely life-changing. Tiempo, yes.
From backyard games to Captain Joe.
That's it.
From Lincoln High School to England.
Nice.
One Lincoln legend.
No, it was gonna be hard for him to go across.
Is just getting started.
Yes. Hold the ball, get a new man in the middle. Good job.
Wow, what an amazing young man. We wish him nothing but the best. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
Hello there, Mia Gradney here with a look at what's making headlines in Houston. Starting with some wild encounters out of the Houston area where massive alligators are showing up in some unexpected places. And in one Fort Bend County community, neighbors say they've been seeing more than their fair share. Go ahead, take a look. Earlier this month, viewers sent us these images showing a large alligator casually strolling along Camp Sienna Trail before laying down for a rest. Just another day in the neighborhood, you know. And it's not the only sighting in that area. Over the past few weeks, residents say alligators have been spotted near an elementary school and even at local tennis courts. Matt Doherty checked out the neighborhood where these encounters keep happening.
Neighbors out here in Fort Bend County say it's not unusual to see those alligators swimming around in the canals like this one, but this time of year they're seeing more and more of them walking around outside on the banks. It's not every day that you see gators acting like this. This happened near a pond on the Freeport Golf Course last week, where a couple says the gator climbed out of the water and started coming after them on their four-wheeler.
He's an everyday occurrence around here.
Dominique Sexton spotted this giant of an alligator over the weekend, not far from her home in Sienna.
Sienna has alligators. It's built on swampland, so it's one of those things that you learn to live with.
Here's another photo of that same gator, taken by a different neighbor yesterday.
This is the biggest one I've ever seen.
Dominique says she thinks the dinosaur-looking creature she's been seeing lurking on the banks is the same one she spotted in the past, only this year it's bigger. She says her kids, who walk to school with the group, know they're not supposed to get close. Of course, they don't all start off this big. Deputies with the Precinct 3 Constable's office were called out to help this little one cross the road. and find its way to a pond off Westlake Houston Parkway. So do you know what you're supposed to do if they charge at you?
I've heard the myth of running in a zigzag.
That is in fact a myth. According to Texas Parks and Wildlife, if an alligator starts coming after you, you should run away as fast as you can. They say head toward a vehicle or a building for safety.
Around here, it's just the fact of living in Texas, honestly.
But the best case scenario is you don't bother them, they don't bother you. In Siena, I'm Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
We will be sure to follow that advice. Now to Northwest Houston, a vocational school is helping people turn their lives around, training barbers and cosmetologists, many of them coming out of the prison system and looking for a second chance. For one man, that opportunity helped him rebuild his life. Now he's helping others reshape theirs. KHOU 11's Michelle Choi has the story.
The sound of a second chance taking shape inside Northwest Educational Center, where every cut is about more than what you see in the mirror. For Anthony Sanchez,
put some texture in the top.
This is where everything changed.
I was incarcerated at 17 years old for multiple armed robberies and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
A past that nearly defined his future.
I believed that either I was going to die in the system or receive more time for the violence and brutality that happens on a day-to-day basis in TDCJ.
He survived, served 10 years, and when he got out, he had a vision to become a barber.
Going to multiple different barber colleges, trying to apply, I was denied because I am a convicted felon. People don't realize that once you're labeled a felon in the state of Texas, it's hard to get employment.
Until Northwest Educational Center took a chance on him.
And they gave me a scholarship, so it was the greatest gift that I could even acquire.
One of the oldest vocational schools in Texas, it's the place where he learned the craft, earned his license, and found purpose.
So right here, we're on the senior floor.
Now he's helping to shape a future for others.
It's a blessing to give back to the underserved community and especially the youth coming into our program, seeing them grow, prosper, and make their dreams a reality.
Because he knows exactly what that opportunity can mean.
They understand that I come from the same cloth as them, that I experienced the same adversity.
From TDCJ re-entry classes where he speaks to inmates, to neighborhoods across Houston, helping others line up a future they didn't think was possible.
This is where it all started, right here.
For recent graduate Javier Gomez, a barbering book he discovered in prison sparked a dream.
I kept reading it because this was my dream.
But once he got out, reality quickly set in.
Coming out of prison, it's like, who's gonna hire me?
Until he found someone who understood.
I said, what do I have to lose? I really have everything to gain.
And Javier says Anthony is helping others like him avoid the same path. People like current cosmetology student Mallory Cruz.
I hung out with the wrong set of people and stuff, and I wasn't making the right decisions. And, I was always catching myself getting into it with the laws, and I couldn't escape from it.
Until she walked through these doors.
I just thought that it was a second chance at life.
Did you pass your test?
For Anthony, it all comes back to this place, a place that believed in him, now helping others believe in themselves.
It's not your past that defines you. The way you respond to the situation defines who you are.
In Houston, Michelle Choi, KHOU 11 News.
Here's another story sure to touch your heart. 3 boys at Texas Children's Hospital, best friends, each getting heart transplants within days of each other. And here's the going home parade for one of those boys, young Ahmed, who spent 351 days in the hospital, surrounded by his family, friends, and hospital staff. Ron Trevino has more on the boys who developed a strong bond as they waited for life-saving surgery.
3 boys, ages 6 and 7, each needing a heart transplant, each waiting for roughly a year, basically living at Texas Children's Hospital, becoming great friends, and then miraculously, they all get matches and heart transplants within 10 days of each other. Dr. Joseph Spinner is on their team of physicians.
These kids became friends. Now, what are the odds that they would all have heart transplants within 10 days?
Extremely low odds. These kids waited over a total of 1,000 days combined for their heart transplants in the hospital.
It's a tradition here at Texas Children's. When patients go home, they throw a parade. Nazir had the first one, and joining in, Ahmed and Preston, the 3 boys supporting each other.
As you can imagine, if you're so sick that you need a heart transplant, to think about the donor, to think about the other boys waiting, I just think speaks volumes to all three boys and to their parents and their families, that really their heart was in the right place.
The boys have been through so much, yet their doctor says even at their sickest, all they wanted to do was play and be kids.
You save lives, but what do these children teach you?
I think these children teach us how to be grateful for what we have. It's amazing that they could be so sick, yet have such a positive attitude.
Dr. Spinner says their futures look bright. Their new hearts are serving them well. The three friends whose bond has seen them through the worst and the best of times. Ron Trevino, KHOU 11 News.
Such sweeties. Thankful to see them thriving. And with that, that's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Mia Gradney.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. Throughout this Spurs playoff run, some of the loudest Go Spurs Go chants are happening nearly 7,000 miles away. Alicia Nieves introduces us to a passionate community of Korean fans, proving Spurs culture has gone global.
When Tae-sung Kwon isn't raising cattle in South Korea, he's cheering for the Spurs. He's the co-creator of a Korean Spurs community chat filled with about 200 fans keeping up with the team.
People know the Spurs? Like, they know where San Antonio is?
Tammy Kang is from South Korea and now lives in San Antonio. She helped us connect with Tae-sung and understand just how deep this fandom goes. In this chat, fans react live to games.
It's so fast.
They debate calls, celebrate big shots, and show off their Spurs gear wherever they are. Some even named their babies after Spurs legends, including baby Gino for Ginobili. Tae-sung became a fan in middle school, drawn in by the ball movement, defense, and consistency of the Spurs. His favorite player?
Tony Parker.
Tony Parker is even his nickname in the group chat.
To me, the Spurs has the best culture of any professional sports team.
That culture is what also hooked Chan Young Chung, who says the Spurs' international identity made them different.
Yeah, Timmy for US and Virgin Islands, and Manu for Argentina, and our Tony Parker from France.
For Chan Young, it's the way generations of players stay connected.
Beyond basketball and beyond record, Spurs showed us as a family.
And now, a new generation is finding that family through Victor Wembanyama. Tae-sung says Wemby is helping grow NBA fandom in Korea overall.
Everyone is fascinated by his uniqueness.
The Spurs may call San Antonio home, but their family reaches far beyond Texas.
Go Spurs, go. This is a big chance.
Well, with a fandom as rich as San Antonio's, you're bound to have a few diehards. Vinny Vanzetta introduces us to a 90-year-old woman who bleeds silver and black.
Miss Stella, how long have you been a Spurs fan?
Ooh, that's a long time. Long, I can't even remember. More than 20 years. I was young and I was working, and they always used to say Spurs, and I didn't even know who was Spurs were. But I mean, here I am with the Spurs.
Do you still go to Spurs games?
Oh, yes. My two girls, if they don't take me, they take turns, and I get mad if they don't want to take me. She takes me one time, and then the other one takes me another time.
How much do you love going to Spurs games?
Oh, my God. I bleed for them. They're my team, my favorite team.
Do you watch the games on TV too?
If I don't go, I have to watch them on TV. Sometimes I go to the game, and then I come home and watch it again. They say, again, you're gonna watch it there, you watch it over there. I said, yes, but it was not the same. I have to watch it again. I love basketball. I love my Spurs.
And so are we gonna throw you a big Spurs birthday party on June 15th?
No, well, yeah. We are gonna win it. We're gonna bring it home. Remember, we're gonna bring it home. Go Spurs, go!
Go Spurs, go!
I love my Spurs. Nobody can take me away my Spurs. Nobody can take away my Spurs feeling fan. I'm a fan.
We got some Spurs nails going on there.
We actually all have our nails, like my sister too, all of us. I get mad at them if they don't take me. I won't talk to them.
You know what, Stella? If they're busy, you call me and I'll get you to the game.
Thank you. I always find it right, believe me.
Okay.
Believe me.
Well, watching the Spurs march to victory in the playoffs is thrilling for your average fan, but for those betting on the games, the thrill can include even more fun. As Jeremy Baker reports, if you don't do it responsibly, your bets could break the bank.
The National Council on Problem Gambling says if you do plan to bet on the Spurs or any sporting event, to make sure you treat gambling as a recreational activity, not a legitimate way to make money.
With these sports books, you're not going to get rich off of it realistically. It's not a career. It's not a replacement for investment. It is a form of entertainment, disposable income entertainment, and that's exactly how it should be treated.
Experts say you may have a gambling problem if you are gambling on credit cards, if you're borrowing money from others to fund your bets, or if gambling interferes with your job, relationships, or personal responsibilities. If you are new to sports betting, make sure you know how the platform you are using works, as well as how the different types of bets work, like the money line, the spread, or the over-under. Ooh, if the Spurs win tonight, you could triple your money with this bet, but make sure you know why.
If you placed a $100 bet on the Spurs at plus 210, and they win, you would get $210 back, plus your original bet.
Some strategies for safe betting: stick to a strict budget, making sure you only gamble on what you can afford to lose. Never chase losses, betting bigger each time to recoup what you may have already lost. Stick to a standard bet size, such as a set dollar amount per bet or a percentage of your bankroll, and bet with your head, not your heart, to avoid betting emotionally. Also, make sure you do your research to make sure the bet you are placing is the one with the best odds of winning.
The more information you have, but not only just knowledge about sports, more importantly, knowledge about the odds you're really facing, what you're looking at, and the probability with it.
For more tips on gambling on sports responsibly, we have links with this story on KENS5.com. In the studio, Jeremy Baker, KENS 5.
Oh, when the Spurs win big, there's only one thing left to do: go honking. But where did San Antonio's biggest playoff tradition get its roots? The tradition of going downtown to honk started in 1999 following the team's first ever NBA title win. The tradition has grown over the years, and now the rolling parade has spread across the city. Of course, if you join in, remember to celebrate safely. And that's the news in San Antonio.
I'm Bailey Bates. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. The Army has issued new charges against a suspended Fort Hood OBGYN. Major Blaine McGraw is now facing 273 charges for sexual assault, indecent recording, battery, and more. The Army says he has at least 96 victims, and 89 of them are living or working around Fort Hood right now. The Army says almost all of McGraw's crimes happen against his patients during medical examinations at the Darnall Army Medical Center. 7 of his victims were his patients at the Tripler Army Medical Center in Hawaii. A group in Temple, Texas is escalating its fight against data centers. On May 20th, the Stop Temple Data Centers group missed the deadline to recall city leaders. They were hoping to remove the mayor, mayor pro tem, and another city council member, saying those officials voted against the public interest when they approved a new data center project. Well, now the group says they'll be taking their concerns before the Commissioner's Court on June 1st. The Texas Agriculture Commissioner is now calling for a pause to data center development. He pointed to a vote in Hill County where the Commissioner's Court decided to pause all data center construction for a year. He says that same kind of pause at the state level could protect our resources until lawmakers and regulators can fully investigate the long-term impacts of data centers. His statement reads in part, these facilities are rising at breakneck speed across rural Texas, drawn by cheap land, reliable energy, and a pro-business pro-business climate. What began as promising economic development is quickly becoming a severe strain on the systems that Texans depend on daily. Meantime, the state senator for Waco and surrounding areas is now stepping down to join the Department of War. The U.S. Senate has confirmed Brian Birdwell's nomination, and he'll now be taking over as the Assistant Secretary of War for sustainment. Birdwell sent us a letter saying he is thankful to all his constituents and for the 16 years he's gotten to serve Texas. He says the Senate District 22 offices will stay up and running until a new senator is appointed to complete his term. A Killeen ISD student with multiple disabilities will now get the chance to walk the stage at graduation using his personal mobility device. 18-year-old Sean Roberts has lived with cerebral palsy for most of his life, and his goal was to always walk across the stage at graduation. But weeks ago, his mother Ruth says that she was told by Killeen ISD officials that Sean may not be able to cross the stage with his classmates using his gait trainer, a mobility device that helps support his movement and balance while walking. The district cited timing and mobility logistics as the concern, but Ruth felt her son deserved the same opportunity as every other student. She took her concerns to social media, where thousands of people from across the community rallied behind Sean and agreed that he should be given the chance to walk. Now, Killeen ISD says a plan is in place to make sure Sean can have his moment on stage.
I do think KISD, they definitely, are accommodating Sean. We have a plan. He's gonna walk across the stage. He's gonna also be able to participate in some of the procession, and they're just definitely making some accommodations so he doesn't get overloaded or overstimulated.
Sean is nonverbal, but his mother says his excitement was clear when he found out he would be able to walk across the stage. Those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. A new project in Beaumont could help homeless veterans get off the streets. VFW Post 1806 is working to build tiny homes on its property along Park Street. The plan, it's still in the early stages, but organizers say the goal is to give veterans more than a roof over their heads. The project could help them rebuild stability and find purpose. At VFW Post 1806 in Beaumont, service doesn't end when the uniform comes off.
This post has been around for a very long number of years. Our most recent charter is dated in 1958.
Post Commander Marvin Cash says a new idea came out of a recent meeting, building tiny homes right here on VFW property along Park Street.
This whole area right here is what we're looking at in transforming it.
The goal is to eventually create enough space to help 8 to 10 veterans at a time.
The vision that we have is to make this a small veteran community here.
Commander Cash says the project is still less than 2 weeks old, but the hope is to have 1 or 2 homes built within a year, then keep adding more as funding, permits, plumbing, and other details come together.
How many veterans do you think you could house out here?
At any given time, we're looking at the prospect of housing up to 10 veterans just on this property.
The idea of tiny homes has been talked about before here in Southeast Texas, from a private development in Pinehurst to a veterans village in Kirbyville that later had to pause construction because of funding. Those projects, they show the promise, but also the challenge. Tiny homes, they may be small, but the road to building them, it can be complicated. Zoning, permits, water and sewer lines, and of course, money and long-term support, they all have to come together. That's why the VFW here says that this project will start with just 1 or 2 homes before growing into something bigger.
For Commander Cash, the homes are only part of the mission. He says the VFW already helps veterans with things like food, gas, money, home repairs, and navigating VA claims. He says having veterans living on site, it would make it easier to connect them with those services.
So to be able to take these guys in, we actually have counselors in the VFW that will sit here on a weekly basis and give these guys some therapy if they need it.
Cash says the plan is not just to give someone a roof, but to help them find stability, mental health support, and eventually a job or apartment of their own.
As Americans, why do you think we owe it to veterans to be helping them like this?
Well, a veteran is somebody that has written that blank check pledged their lives to it. And a lot of times these guys come home broken, come home injured to where they can't provide for themselves, or they don't come home at all.
Cash served 10 years in the military, a Desert Shield and Desert Storm veteran who says he now sees this as his life's work.
It's given me a purpose to serve and help develop our veteran community.
For Cash, it's one more way to honor service by making sure those who served are not left behind. And a very special woman in Port Arthur received the key to the city recently on her 100th birthday. Believe it or not, this year was Doris Castillo's very first birthday party. Now, we asked her what her secret to a long life is, and she told us no smoking, no drinking, and a couple of other very important things to remember.
Have faith in God and do like me and exercise. Okay. And remember that you only have one health. Once you lose it, you cannot recapture it. So it's worth it.
And Miss Doris says that she was thankful to receive the gifts, cards, and phone calls on her birthday. Well, Lamar State College Orange celebrating a historic milestone. The college honors 649 graduates during its spring 2026 commencement ceremony, making it the largest graduating class in school history. College leaders say the record number reflects the growth of the institution along with the hard work and dedication of its students. Congratulations. And at the annual West Orange Cove Consolidated Independent School District Scholarship Night ceremony, the Mustangs earned a grand total of more than $1.8 million in academic, athletic, and military scholarships. The milestone reflects years of hard work from students, along with strong support from teachers, families, and the community. Officials say the achievement highlights the dedication and success of Mustang students across the district. And those were the headlines here from Southeast Texas.
I'm Quita Culpepper in Austin. A Bastrop woman escapes a house fire with her life, but not without a cost. Not only did she lose her 9-year-old son, she also was injured while escaping the flames. Adding to her devastation, her health insurance company denied coverage for the surgery doctors recommended. Jenny Lee has more on her fight.
If I'm doing anything in the kitchen, I have to make sure that my hand is covered.
Everyday chores.
There's not a lot of skin there.
Take longer now. Once easy tasks are near impossible.
This is me squeezing the mayonnaise as hard as I can.
Christina Wilcox lost partial use of her right hand after a fire in July of 2025. Those flames destroyed everything. Months later, nothing has changed in the former rental home. Charred appliances, a melted microwave, insulation, and debris everywhere. A 911 call captures the devastation of July 27th.
We need help!
Christina remembers a lot of black smoke.
Woke up to me coughing hysterically.
She says she was sleeping in the living room here with her 9-year-old son, Jude. That's when she noticed the fire. Christina tried to get out through the front door but couldn't. She says that's when she broke this window and fell out. But as soon as Christina landed on the ground, she tried desperately to get back inside the home. A passerby saw the fire and called 911. Christina's terror can be heard in the background.
Is there anyone else in there? I know. Is anyone else in there? She's trying to go back in to get her son.
9-year-old Jude, autistic and nonverbal, was trapped inside the burning home.
And I looked back at her and I started screaming back to her, push me back in. My son's inside, push me back in. And I tried to climb up screaming his name for him to come to me, but there was no noises. And all of a sudden, I have an officer grabbing me and taking me to the front of the house, and I'm just bleeding everywhere. Like just blood is everywhere. It's all over his uniform. It was a horrific scene. So the ambulance came, they put me on the stretcher, and I see him on the stretcher, and they're pumping his chest. I'm just screaming to the nurse, is he alive, is he alive? And I looked at her and I said, I know you're a mother. I can see it in your face. Is he alive? And she looked at me. He didn't make it.
Jude died of smoke inhalation. Christina also lost her dog, Coco. 10 months later,
we're still dealing with it.
Christina is coping.
I'm just wanting to get my life back.
But moving forward,
it's never going to be the same, I know that.
Isn't easy. Christina knows healing her heart will take time. She didn't know it would take so long to heal her hand.
I mean, the whole nerve's just dead.
In September, Christina says an orthopedic surgeon recommended a nerve graft surgery to repair the nerve damage in her hand. In October, her insurance company, Cigna Healthcare, denied the procedure. The reason? Not medically necessary, and that the surgery was considered experimental. Christina says that's unacceptable.
In that case, every surgery is experimental because there's never no doctor will ever tell you 100% that something's going to work.
Christina says she didn't understand and couldn't get answers, so she called the KVUE defenders. We reached out to Cigna Healthcare for answers. The Cigna spokesperson cited privacy laws. In a statement, the spokesperson wrote in part, quote, "Our coverage guidelines are developed using the latest medical research and clinical evidence from leading medical organizations and are regularly reviewed and updated by physician specialists," end quote.
You almost need a PhD in health insurance to be able to understand what's going on.
Michelle Long is a senior policy manager for KFF, a nonprofit, nonpartisan health insurance policy research organization.
We already know healthcare costs are one of consumers' biggest concerns right now.
In March, KFF released its latest findings on claims denials. Insurance companies reported receiving nearly 496 million claims in 2024. Out of the little more than 451 million in-network claims, 85 million, or 19%, were denied. Out-of-network claims totaled a little more than 44 million, with a denial rate of 37%. The analysis only covers plans in the Affordable Care Act marketplace, so private insurers, like the one Christina has, are not required to disclose that information.
And we found that 1 in 3 insured adults say that they found prior authorizations to be a major burden to getting health care.
KFF found that Texas has the highest single insured level denial rate in the entire country. Long says if your claim gets denied,
document everything.
And depending on your plan, you can either reach out to the Texas Department of Insurance or the U.S. Department of Labor to file complaints.
A lot of people don't know what their rights are.
As a claims adjuster herself, Christina did know her rights, but she only heard back from Cigna after the KVUE defenders got involved.
I can't salute properly. I'm a veteran.
The Navy veteran said Cigna has now found another doctor to repair her hand, but no appointment just yet. She hopes this can become a distant memory soon, as she tries to move on, keeping another memory alive.
I miss his kisses so much. I miss his snuggles.
Jude's urn sits in the center of Christina's new rental home. Her son's ashes are also in a necklace she never takes off.
You know, I miss him just patting me on the head.
For the KVUE Defenders, I'm Jenny Lee.
Christina later told us her policy with Cigna expired in April, not the end of May as she was originally told. Now she must wait out the enrollment period with her new insurance company before she tries to go through the approval process again. That's all from us here in Austin. Hope you have a great day.
I'm Mike Gillespie in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's making news in South Texas. Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller is calling for a pause on new data center development, warning that the projects could put added pressure on power grids and water supplies. And as Natalia Osuna shows us, the debate hits close to home in South Texas, where a major AI data center is planned for the area near Robstown.
Across Texas, new data centers are popping up, and empty fields like this one here behind me might seem like the perfect location for one. But Commissioner Sid Miller says that farmers, ranchers, and property owners need to be put first. For years, farmers have fought to protect their land and face the unexpected during planting season. Now, many throughout the Lone Star State are seeing a new crop emerge: data centers.
We can't just surrender everything to these global corporations. We need to ask some hard questions.
The Texas Ag Commissioner says that what began as an opportunity for economic development is now straining systems that communities rely on.
How much will these projects stress the electric grid, especially during summer peaks and winter storms? What happens to our prime farmland when these industrial servers come in and take it all up? How much groundwater are they going to use? Even though they say they can put in a closed loop system, that closed loop system still takes a tremendous amount of water.
Scott Frazier is a longtime farmer in the Chapman Ranch area. He also serves as a board member for the Nueces County Farm Bureau.
We had the wind farms move in, then we had the solar farms, and then now here come the data centers, and it's a new thing to deal with that we in rural Texas haven't really learned how to deal with yet.
As they adapt to a rapidly changing landscape, Frazier says involving local farmers, ranchers, and property owners is key.
They get the stakeholders together in that area and study the situation and involve the proper state agencies for some oversight, because there's virtually no oversight.
Frazier says the goal should be finding a balance, making room for new development without sacrificing farmland, property rights, or local resources. And Commissioner Miller agrees both types of crops can coexist, just not necessarily on the same land.
Agriculture freedom zones, which would use incentives for these data centers to build not on our very best farmland, but on marginal land.
Natalia Osuna, 3 News.
A South Texas restaurant owner is taking on his city government after a disagreement over a handful of chairs turned into a stack of fines. Michael Gibson has more on the fight that's now landing in district court.
KC's Oyster Shack in Port Aransas usually has customers lined up outside waiting just to get in. Most people put their names on this sign-up sheet near the front door because inside there are only 14 seats and customers are limited to about an hour at the counter. Business is booming, but owner Chad Gorsica says a few chairs outside for waiting customers have landed him in trouble with the city.
The city's been fining me for having these chairs outside for people just to, for waiting purposes, and they've been wanting me to remove them, and I just don't think it's right that I have to have people sitting on the floor when they're just chairs for people to sit outside, and wait to get into the restaurant.
That's good. That's very good.
Gorsica tells 3 News that Port Aransas limits restaurants to 4 seats for every parking space they have. He believes the city counts his business as having only 4 parking spaces, allowing 16 total seats. He says the 4 waiting chairs outside pushed him over that limit.
I was at another restaurant last night, and there was 40 people sitting outside in the parking lot with margaritas in their hands, and they're sitting on the benches outside, but they don't have the parking for that. But and I don't think they get harassed for that. I feel like I'm being targeted.
So what does the city of Port Aransas have to say about all of this? Well, I contacted Mayor Wendy Moore, and she said, unfortunately, since this case is in litigation, there's no one from the city who can speak about it at this time.
What started out as city tickets is now turned into a civil lawsuit filed by Port Aransas against the Oyster Bar owner. Gorsica has now hired attorney Chris Gale to fight the case in district court.
We've been waiting for our trial date in regards to the tickets for a long time, and we're still waiting. And then suddenly we get this, and so my client's being sued civilly for having a couple of chairs and parking spaces. So, we look forward to it. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to defend it.
So a fight over a handful of chairs outside a tiny oyster bar has now turned into a courtroom showdown with City Hall. No trial date has yet been set. From Port Aransas, Michael Gibson, 3 News.
And that is a quick look at some of what's making news in South Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A family is reminding all of us that Memorial Day weekend isn't about cookouts or sales, rather about honoring those we've lost to have served. As CBS 19's Jesus Martinez shares, they walk for veteran suicide awareness and their son.
You need one?
Yeah, of course I do.
All right.
With Mission 22 flags in hand, Barbie Rohde shares the same mission hundreds around the country honored on this 22nd day of May.
For the 22, honor the 22.
Mission 22 is a nonprofit focused on supporting U.S. military veterans and their families, especially with suicide prevention.
It's happening with active duty and retired military.
Friday, they walked 2.2 miles.
This means everything to us, and we appreciate everybody coming out.
We're doing this walk today because not only do we need to raise money for the funds for our programs, but we need to raise awareness.
According to the Department of Veteran Affairs, veterans die by suicide at a rate more than 1.5 times higher than non-veteran U.S. adults. It is a number Barbie knows too well.
Until we lost our child, we had no idea about this problem, no clue.
Sergeant Cody Bowman lost his left hand in a blast in Germany.
I was with him for a while. He kept saying, he's fine, you know. Till 2.5 years later, he wasn't.
Barbie was headed home that day when she was met with 2 soldiers in dress blues.
That's never good. And all I remember hearing was Sergeant Cody Bowman's self-inflicted gunshot wound. I dropped to my knees.
Barbie and her husband joined Mission 22 shortly after her son passed away in 2019, turning their grief into purpose by sharing Cody's story in hopes of helping other veterans and their families before it is too late.
I just don't want that pain to be on anybody else if I can help stop it.
This walk,
so thank y'all for coming,
is just one way they're helping in the mission.
Tyler needs to know that we need to support our veterans.
As she carries her son on her shoulders.
I hope everybody knows that just walking a few steps, even if you don't do the whole 2.2 miles, it touches us. It means the absolute world.
And as we look ahead to Memorial Day, Barbie wants to remind us all that the freedoms we have come because of veterans like her son.
They signed their name on that dotted line to give their life for our freedoms.
And with every step taken, Cody's memory and the memories of so many veterans live on. In Tyler, I'm Jesus Martinez.
An East Texas horse rescue is grieving after a devastating loss during a storm. 5 horses were killed when lightning struck their property, including animals that were just days away from finding new homes. CBS 19's Nayeli Creo shows us how the community is now rallying around the nonprofit in its time of heartbreak.
It's been very quiet.
The clouds over Hooker Ranch Equine Refuge casting a heavy feeling over the property.
You know, that was once a living animal and that had a soul and a life, and we're loading it onto a trailer to haul it away. I mean, it's hard on everybody.
Lisa Smith, the founder of the rescue, says 5 of their horses were killed after being struck by lightning.
Come on.
Something she has heard of happening, but never imagined it would happen to them.
My heart dropped, and he said, babe, you need to come here and look. And I looked, and 5 of our horses were laid underneath a tree, and I knew immediately what had happened.
Several of the horses that tragically lost their life after the storm were ready to be adopted. Like several of these horses on this field, they are ready for their forever homes.
One of the horses in particular was actually adopted by a volunteer and her daughter. They had been coming out twice a week, and I've been helping them train the horse, and she was going to head home next week or the week after.
The nonprofit, founded in 2022, has helped hundreds of horses recover from neglect, abuse, and the slaughter pipeline. Smith says losing them feels like losing family.
We put a lot of resources in those horses, trying to get them better and help them and get them into a home, and now they don't have that opportunity.
Volunteers spent Tuesday helping remove the horses from the property, supporting one another through the emotional aftermath. Smith says while the loss has been heartbreaking, they're grateful no people or other horses were hurt.
We never want to see a horse ever come into our rescue and suffer. And that's one of the things that we do is we bring horses full circle.
The rescue says the community has already started reaching out with donations, equipment, and volunteer support as they continue caring for the other horses on the property. In Winsboro, Nayeli Carrillo, CBS 19.
And that's a wrap for East Texas Headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.